Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another production of the Cross-Platform Baseball League. Another weekly roundup for you here in this Season 13. It is me, Dwayne, bringing it to you alongside my colleagues and commentators. First and foremost, here with me right next to me, it is Mr. No Hummus, 10-season veteran. How you doing tonight?
Doing great tonight, Dwayne and Ox also. Just looking forward to see this weekly roundup.
Yes, indeed. We got Ox as well with us down here on the bottom of the screen. How you doing tonight, Ox? Welcome to the weekly roundup.
What up, boys? We're all showing off the hair tonight. I like it.
Yes.
Good to be here with you with the three-headed monster.
Yeah, the three-headed monster. No caps, no cap here on the
No cap
XBL weekly roundup. Yeah, no cap at all. Hopefully no cap in the rankings or any of the stat storylines or anything like that. Hopefully it's all in the numbers as we get to go over, rankings, storylines. We're going to go into a little bit of the AAA playoff format tonight and lots of other exciting stuff, right, guys?
Hell yeah, we got a couple of surprise announcements and content to go over, and like you said, some spicy content.
Yep, just a whole lot of stuff. Just we're gonna go over here in a couple minutes.
Yep. All right, so let's not waste too much time. We'll get started with the AAA rankings here tonight. Let me get my tunes going, and we're right there at the bottom of the list at 13, 14, and 15. with Dad Slush, Joey and his Teamsters, and then Cardiac and the Ironbirds.
Oh, my bad, Dwayne. Yeah, here is our bottom three so far for the AAA. As like we said, we're getting real close to the start of those playoffs. So a lot of these guys, like the Teamsters, rounding out his final games played on the season. So nice job getting the games in by Joey, somebody I just played in a really close in a set. So and Dad Slush got a couple of good wins lately too.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit more from Dad Slush lately, coming up here in the AAA. He's getting his games in a little later here, but now, yeah, 5-11 after we just had the most recent stat update put in by Flash tonight, thanks to him. As we have Wishbone, shout out to Wishbone. He is up in the air right now on a flight. He's not with us tonight, so shout out to Flash for getting the games up to date for us. We'll slide on up the list here to ranks 10, 11, and 12 here in the AAA. We have Rise and Fall and the Pirates, followed by Bus and his Federal All-Stars, and then Rick and the Magicians.
Yeah, Rick, I'm surprised didn't take more of a jump up this week. He got a big, perfect game against Dad Slush, so shout out to him. The first ever that we know of on the Nintendo Switch, I believe, Dwayne.
Yeah, that is the first perfect game that we've ever had on the Switch, and we've got a fellow perfect gamer here with us tonight in the form of No Hummus.
Yeah, perfect games, they're very tough to get. I believe this is just the fourth recorded perfect game in regular season, obviously none in postseason. But yeah, just congrats once again to his Magicians pulling it off. It's very tough, with SMB, like cheese. Sometimes all like you need everything to go like just as a name perfectly.
Magician Hummus.
Yep, right. You only a Magician's play could get you a perfect game.
Yeah, truly. In this game, you never know what can go wrong. 27 straight outs is so ridiculously difficult to accomplish. So shout out again to Rick for that. That is a mega accomplishment. Like Ox said, first on the Switch and second ever in the AAA, first in a long time since I believe it was season 8. So nice to have that here in the AAA's 6th season from Rick. And then a little bit of an upswing I think we've seen from the Pirates and the Federal All-Stars.
Actually, yeah, the Pirates did a great job until they ran into Max on that big match of the week showdown. But before that, he was coming in hot. We also have, I actually think Rick should be bumped up there ahead of Bus because he had a big Mercy victory against Bus. But all three of these guys playing some pretty good baseball as we head into the end of the season and the big start of the AAA playoffs, which we'll have more on later.
Yeah, exciting stuff in the AAA playoffs, like Ox said, where you're going to have some of that at the end of the rankings here. And it's going to be big for everybody to dig their heels in and finish up strong. As we look at ranks 7, 8, and 9, Tezzy and the heavy hitters starting to show their stuff through 18 games, looking good, 11 and 7. Then we've got Mystery Man and his Mystery Inc. He's done pretty strongly this season on a little bit of a skid, but he's won some pretty big games, followed by the Bikers through 28, almost finished his season 1 series left. He's had a few wins in the past week as well, looking to finish strong with that Central Jersey Biker look.
Yeah, just
all three of these guys. Go ahead, Hummus, I'm sorry.
Yeah, saying the heavy hitters here. Yeah, they're ranked 7 right now, but if you look at their stats, they got pretty good stats, Their run scoring is top 6. Their runs allowed is top 5. So they've definitely held it up there like throughout the whole season, being able to stay in that upper like echelon of like teams.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was going to lead into as well. But not just Tezzy, all three of these guys. It can really depend on which day you get them on, but all three certainly have the potential to be the Giant Slayer. I mean, if you're a guy sitting near the top like myself, you do not want to face these guys at the end of the season because they absolutely can and will beat you. And we saw D-Sil and Tezzy play just this past week. D-Sil with a huge comeback and a big split in that series. And we saw Mystery Man. He got swept by Finite, but he split Mama June and Fireball Max in back-to-back days. So we know playoff mist. He can show up out of nowhere and really be somebody as good as anyone else in AAA.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I've noticed in you know, a lot of those games, you saw missed. Like he'll lose the big game, and then the next game he'll score a ton of runs and it'll be another close one, but he'll come away with that victory, like you said too, in the last week. And then on the flip side, you have the Bikers, where once in a while, Diesel, you'll see him get blown out, and the next game pull him through 2-1. 3-1. His pitching really comes out to shine. You know, the reason why he won AA in the past really comes out to shine. So yeah, big stuff from all three of these guys in the middle of the rankings. You're going to be not wanting to face any of them in this AAA postseason. As we look at ranks 4, 5, and 6, getting into the big dogs, we got Finite and his Scotties, followed by No Name and the Base Bandits starting to pick up their games, and Fireball Max and his Miami Knights, who have been strong all season, especially offensively.
Yeah, Fireball Max is not a guy you want to pitch to. He's just a nightmare to try to get out. We've seen him put up over 20 hits per 9 all season.
Yeah, another player you want to look out here for is No Name and Base Bandits. He's been extremely efficient pitching this season. You know, he's in that like top 3. I think he's pretty much almost top 1 maybe in a lot of pitching stats also this season. So definitely a very tough opponent, you know, to score any runs. And of course, we all know his speed, base path antics. It's a very tough opponent there.
Yeah, I think his record speaks for itself, 12-2, and like you said, the pitching stats, he's in first in nearly every pitching stat yet again this year in AAA. It was actually a big goal of mine to win the Von Acison this season. You know, it can't all be bomb droppers like a lot of the big dogs up there, but No Name, he's just got a stranglehold on it. He does still have to face some of those big offenses in the AAA though, so if he ever gets some games in, we'll see more of those Base Bandits.
Yeah, we'll look to him to see if he picks up. This is the coming final AAA week after we flip over here after Sunday. So we'll be looking at all the players who are short on games and everybody who needs to schedule with them to hopefully get things planned out and get everything rolling shortly. But yeah, some crazy stuff looking at those numbers. I mean, the strikeout to walk ratio alone here for No Name, 109 strikeouts, 8 walks in 14 games. I mean, that's the math there is insane. I can't even comprehend it.
Dwayne, everybody take a look at Finite's results there. You see the 2 monster sweeps against the Pumas and also missed. But also, you know, he went 0-2 against D-Sil, so a crazy set of games there with Finite as he remains steady at the 4 spot.
Yeah, it's that top to bottom parity that we've seen and talked about in the AAA all season long. And as we're going to take a look at the top 3 here, no movement in the AAA top 3 rankings this week from the last week. We've got Ox and his holograms right there at number 1 through 26 games, only 4 more left to play, followed by Mama June June and the Bulls, who have been on a little bit of a skid, having a little bit of a tough time, I think, getting out of the tighter games, but you know, still strong, always ready to win. And then followed up by the Puma and his by Black Coffee. Black Coffee has had a really awesome, you know, sophomore season in the form of his offense.
Yeah, it's tough for Finite as him and Coffee remain there at 3-4, but he did get swept in a couple of really close games against the Scotties. But you see those runs scored per 9 up there for the Pumas, hitting a lot of home runs, leading the AAA in home runs, or well, he hasn't played in a while. It looks like I've taken the lead on that, but that's just from sheer at bats. And me and Coffee are actually playing this coming Monday night.
And just looking at these stats here, I would say the big difference right now between the big 3 is looking at the win percentage versus 500. Holograms are now sitting at a .800, while Bulls sit at .500 and Scotties at .625. So right now it seems like Holograms now have the clear advantage when it comes to playing against other tough teams and just eking out those like close victories.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a big stat to look at here among the top teams. When we talked about how tight the AAA top 5, top 6 is going to be this season, that's huge and a big stat to bring up, Hummus, for sure. And it's Mr. Ox who's sitting here with us in the booth with an 800 win percentage. As you're saying, that is 8, you know, out of 10 times he's going to win those big games. So looking good for him going down the stretch through the AAA bracket. But that is what we wanted to come bring up next for you guys. I think there's going to be some pleased ears to hear that we are bringing back the round robin in some form for the AAA playoffs.
That's right. And the playoffs are a whole different animal, and so is the format. We love this format we inducted last season. Um, Only six made it automatically the top half of that round robin, and the other guys were left to fight out those remaining spots to get into the top eight. This season, it's going to be slightly different, and we will have an updated graphic later on. There will be a league news announcement with a graphic here in the next couple of days to make this official.
Yes, indeed. So officially, what we're looking at, like I said, everything, or like Ox just said, disclaimer, this will all be put into words and put into a nice graphic for everybody in the coming days here. But we're looking at the round robin for the bottom half of the league. Again, the top 6 are going to be auto qualifying for the quarterfinals. So if you finish in the top 6, you are going to the top 8, going to finish in the quarterfinals and work into the best of 5 there. The 7 and 8 seeded players will be waiting for the winners of the round robin. So everybody who finishes below 8th will be in the round robin. Those players will be fighting for 2 spots, and the players in the 7th and 8th seed will be in basically a wild card round series with the winner of the round robin. So there's going to be a slight bye for 7 and 8, but then you still are going to have to play a series to get into the final 8. The top 6 are auto qualifying for that final 8 again.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a really great modification to last season's round robin, where the top 6 got to select who they wanted to play in a little bit like the MLB is going to. But this kind of takes the guesswork and the unknown out of it, Dwayne. We just have the top 6 automatically advance in the bracket, and then 7 and 8. You get the reward of not having to play in the round robin just to survive in the postseason, but you also aren't there yet. You've got to play your way into the quarterfinals and reach, those final 8 spots with everyone else. So I think it's going to be a really, really good format and a really exciting round robin.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely going to be some, like I said, some pleased ears to hear that the round robin's coming back. Everybody's ready to play, some extra games, I think.
Yeah, and the beautiful part of AAA in this league is that everyone does make the playoffs. And in seasons past, for those who don't know, we used to just give everybody a basic best of 3 right out the gate series against whoever you were matched up against. And now this really lets everybody get a new life where you're playing 2-game sets against all these other guys, and your seasons, you get a big reset button.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, that will, going forward, now that we know that for AAA, we're going to have, like I said, the graphic coming out. We'll be reflecting that in the league news standings, the live standings and things like that. So everybody will be able to visualize pretty much what we've been talking about here. I didn't really get to put anything together for it, as like we said, Wishbone on the go, so he was unable to update any of the bracket for us as well. Before we were able to make this announcement, but we really wanted to give you guys something, especially now as we approach week 5, before we flipped into that. And speaking of flipping into things, I think that should be enough for the AAA. We'll get back to the old traditional, old faithful XBL. We'll start off with the power rankings over here at number 16. It's Eduardo this week once again, still having rough times on the offense at 2-22.
Yeah, sometimes first season XBL is usually the roughest for a lot of teams coming up from AAA, and just same thing here from Eduardo. Not really much you can do, but you just gotta, work at it, just take your lumps and then come back next season, and work your way up like many other teams after having a rough XBL season.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to be looking to him to, come out on the other side of those close games that he was not really able to get the handle on this season. And unfortunately, his offense wasn't quite there, but he's still got a few to play, and, he could break that losing streak and finish on a positive note as we move up now to ranks 13, 14, and 15. Dark Raider and the Moose, followed by the Femme Fatales and Chronic Lies and Mercer and his Summits.
Yeah, it seems similar rankings compared to last week. Seems like nothing changed too much here. But one thing I would like to know, I'm pretty sure, is the Femme Fatales. They had a bit rough start to the season, but they've slowly, been able to get some of those wins back. So maybe it's a little too late for the playoffs for them, or actually not really, but they could definitely, and pretty much any of these teams could try and make that playoff push towards the end. Try to get one of those last spots.
Yeah, I think the magic number might be somewhere around like I don't want to say 10 because 10 is a pretty low number, but maybe 11 to 12 wins. So that's a possibility for a team like, you know, Mers might be on the outside looking in, but if 10 is the number, that's still a possibility for him. But then you do have some games in hand for both Dark Raider and Chroniclize to really get into the playoff mix. Move
Yeah,
on.
you know, so, or you,
No,
sorry,
go right ahead.
continue.
Go right ahead.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, you know, at the end of the day, anything can happen in these games, especially like when there's so much on the line. You know, players seem to just come alive when like they need to come in clutch. So we see some of that towards the end of the season.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Go ahead, Ox.
we did just see Flash get a couple of one-run victories, I believe it was, over Chronic, so that's a huge sweep, and pretty detrimental to Chronic's playoff hopes. But Dark Raider certainly still has a chance to try to sneak his way in there.
Yeah, for sure. And these are the guys who are going to be in that conversation as well. We have ranks 10, 11, and 12. Permitil and the Flippers had a pretty decent week going in at 3 and 3, and then you have Milky Jesus and his Milkman. He had a nice resurgence there about a week ago. Then a couple of tough series where he was swept, and then followed by Wishbone Rules and the Astronauts. He did not get any games, and on vacation this week, as we stated already, he's going to be looking to get hot again after a bit of a cold streak.
Yeah, and another team to note here are the Astronauts, who have had a bit rough going this season. You know, I think many teams peg them to maybe take that next step, you know, and finish more towards that middle upper like level. But it seems like a lot of times they just haven't been able to, you know, have things go their way. And you know, who knows? They still sit at 12, so they could definitely make some noise in the playoffs should they make it.
Yeah, I think that you know, these players, especially Wishbone, has been there before. Permitil made it to the playoffs last season. He was the final seed, I believe. Milky Jesus has, you know, played in the AAA playoffs. He's been on prime time plenty of times in that aspect. So they've been there before, and they're going to be the guys to beat, you know, for those guys behind them on the outside looking in on those playoff spots.
Let's not forget the Flippers took the Mallards to Game 5 in the first round of last
Indeed.
year's playoffs, I believe. And we also saw Wishbone took a game off the Great Weaver in the first round of his playoffs. So don't sleep on these guys. And Milkman, you know, he can hit with the best of them. So all three of these guys, if they do indeed make it, you know, first round sleepers.
Nah, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely in those best of fives early. These types of players, you know, guys that, you know, finish in, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10. That there's some pop in there, and there's close games in there. They will sneak up on you and definitely bite and destroy your playoff hopes, you know, on the way to, you know, their Cinderella dream. And we're gonna look up the guys who are gonna be probably playing them is rank 7, 8, and 9.
Real
What's up?
quick to interrupt you, I got to get one last. I just want to see the 12 spot playing game playoff. There's still a chance for it, and I got to mention it every season.
Oh yeah, that's definitely something we have not brought up yet that we definitely needed to bring up. Was if we get the 12 and 13 seed tied up once again. That rule's still in the rule book. We need that one game plan. Where is it? Let's get the odds. Where's the moneymaker?
Right.
Rank
So
7.
just look at. Sorry, continue.
I was gonna say rank 7, 8, 9 here. It's just Webb and the Melonheads, followed by myself and the Sun Sox and Flash and his Flashertons, who are on the upswing for sure in the past couple weeks.
Yeah, you know, Flashertons, they usually start slow, but then once you hit that second, third, fourth week mark, they really start, you know, kicking it up a notch. You know, they start getting their wins. And so far he's been able to, you know, do just pretty much everything. You know, he's been able to get those runs scored. You know, if there's a shootout, he's able to handle, or sometimes a low scoring games. You know, being able to, you know, shut down teams when necessary.
Yeah, that's a bit of the Flash we knew from the past, and like you said, as the weeks wear on, he starts to get rolling. You know, he doesn't really play, I don't think at all for the first like week and a half, maybe 2 weeks of the season, and now all of a sudden he's got 20 games played, only 5 more series left to play. So his final week, he'll be looking to make a jump in the standings. And on the other side of that sandwich, where I'm in the middle of, we've got Webb, who's had a really positive season. I think he's had some tougher games against the upper half of the schedule, as you see with the 250 winning percentage against 500. But that's not to say that he can't win those games. He's, you know, his runs allowed per 9 and his runs scored per 9 are both very, very close together this season. He's made a big improvement, I think, in his pitching and a big improvement in his hitting, in his eye. So if he's in some big games later in the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some Melonhead magic.
Yeah, absolutely. An MIP candidate this season.
Definitely.
Yeah, the most improved is definitely, something that we need to start thinking about handing out too. It's getting to be close to award season. So in about, 2.5 weeks, maybe at the most, we'll be having some awards to hand out for everybody.
Yeah, the middle of the season seems to just fly by. We all anxiously await that first week, and then once the games start rolling, it's like, oh, we're already at the playoffs. We do a couple of roundup shows. We're already talking about awards, but here we are. As we enter these top 5, top 6 range of the rankings, we've only got a week left.
Yeah, ranks 4, 5, and 6 here in the XBL. It's Ashnod making an appearance down there at number 4, bumping down from number 3, followed by Speedy in the top 5 is Texas All-Stars having a great week at 6-0, followed by Mike the Cooch, who takes a slight dip, mostly just due to that positive week from Speed Demon. Mike has really made a big improvement as well in the mid-season for his Cooch Potatoes.
Yeah, just looking at all these teams, they've pretty much performed as expected going into the season. The All-Stars, sitting up there in that top 5. The Mike and his Coach Potatoes making the comeback after being out the XBL for a bit. Same thing, reclaiming that top area, and the Blues just handling business. They're not in that 1-2 spot right now, but at the end of the day, they're playing for the playoffs, not the power ranking.
Look at that Coach Potato win percentage versus 500 or better. Excuse me.
Wow.
Yeah, 750. That's a huge number there for Mike.
Yeah, 750. That's like that. Just look at the numbers. That's the second best win percentage, with number 1 being Lazy. So that's definitely some great company to keep there, especially going into the playoffs.
Yeah, both these guys, Mike and Speedy, swept Ashnod. So, ranking, obviously Ashnod's, very tough opponent. It's hard to rank the guys to his right above him in the power rankings, but just keep in mind, both these guys coming off major sweeps of the Blues, and you love to see the parity in the league like that. Congrats to both those guys for the big sweep.
Yeah, huge sweeps. Tough week for Ashnod. He lost one to myself, and also, like you said, the sweep to Speed Demon, and then a couple weeks back, Mike. He's got 5 losses already on the season. I think he has some bigger series left to play against the top half. I think he does have Weaver out of the way, but not yet Lazy. So Ash and we'll be looking to win the bigger games and try to get that elusive deeper playoff run, title run that has so far evaded him in his career. As we look at the top 3, we've actually got a tie. Look at that, at rank number 2 between Luke Archer and Weaver for Prez, and then Lazy over there number 1, looking strong as usual.
Yeah, it's same thing. All these players just doing as business. Weaver's pitching is still top notch throughout the XBL, and then Lazy's offense just always just obliterating, like compared to second place, which also happens to be Weaver.
Yeah, that is huge. I mean, the number there, 13.1 runs scored per 9, that really speaks for itself. Go ahead, Ox.
Sorry, Dwayne. It seems business as usual for Lazy, and stat-wise, of course, he's putting up great stats and pitching a great pitching numbers again this season, but he has taken, some chinks in the armor, more so than we're used to seeing the Black Jackals take. And, Weaver's trending very strongly right now as we head into the end of the season. Weaver took some lumps early on, but he's really looked strong lately. And Luke's still with a real shiny record there. He took a game off Lazy. I think we're still waiting for him to play Ashnod, but, Luke and Weaver both shown so far this season they're certainly contenders for the crown.
Yeah, I mean,
I would say it's funny how he mentioned the Jackals having chinks in the armor, despite them only having 2 losses. So it's just amazing how how we pretty much have this expectation of Lazy to pretty much go almost undefeated, and everything else is just falling short.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. 24-2, we're saying he has chinks in the armor. But he did recently lose. He's got that split there against Luke that was just last week in this span that we're talking about here for these power rankings. So Big there for Luke to get the win versus Lazy, and Luke, the only other 2 games he lost were against Weaver. So Wisconsin Forward Baseball Club, I mean, Luke Archer, he's had a huge season, I think, and he was in the World Series back in season 10. I'm not making any bold claims now, but I've had a good feeling all season about Wisconsin. That's just something I wanted to put out into the ether.
Absolutely. The rebrand is real. I mean, the Mallards are dead, but Luke is definitely coming on strong, man. He's looking tough.
Yeah, and that's our XBL power rankings for the week 4, or going into week 5, was, even though we're kind of sort of wrapping up, I believe, week 5, moving into week 6 for our wrap up of this season. We have some StatCast storylines that Wishbone was kindly enough to put together before he was on his travels, so we're going to move on to them here. Looking at some interesting stuff.
Stats, even on vacation, he's the GOAT.
Oh no, he never stops working. He's the best. First things first, we've got the Melonheads involved in the strikeout records. This is some interesting stuff here. Although strikeouts are down 3% this season in the XBL, 3 of the top 10 single game records for combined strikeouts have been set this season, and they just all happen to involve Webb and the Melonheads. Tied for 9th all-time in combined Ks in a 10-inning game between Webb and Luke Archer. There were 25 total strikeouts. I believe, is this is swinging strikeouts, I believe? Also tied for 9th all-time in an 11-inning game between Webb and Merseydrome with 25 strikeouts. And taking the highest score for number 1 ranked all-time for combined strikeouts was Webb and Dark Raider Marathon, a 13-inning game with a whopping 36 strikeouts, beating the record of 32 that has stood since season 8. So even though Webb was involved in all 3 games, he only had more strikeouts as a hitter than his opponent in one of the games.
Definitely an interesting coincidence here. Also, I guess it also goes to show that Webb is really getting it done on the mound, as we mentioned earlier.
Right.
He's contributing also to these strikeouts, as long as getting some of the strikeouts on the offensive side as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's not. They're definitely not one-sided affairs, and those strikeout, he's doing a great job of getting the K numbers, and then I think it's a lot of reliance on maybe the home run ball.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but like Wishbone did highlight, he only had more strikeouts as a hitter than his opponent in one of those games where where all their strikeouts were had. So even though there was a large total, as we spoke about, I mean, he's, like we said, getting it done on the mound. That's the big part of the most improved part of Webb, I think, that we're looking at now.
Yeah, absolutely. Case for days.
for
Another all-time
days.
record to watch in the AAA. There's a couple to watch. Wishbone noted that there's 4 records with the potential to be broken. Fireball Max and the Miami Knights are looking to take away the record for the highest season batting average from Pizza Volcano's season 9 Moon Kingdom. Fireball is sitting at a .457 batting average for his team, just 5 points shy of Pizza's .462 record. So that's big time, guys. Max right there, he's just 5 points away. If he finishes strong, he could be the all-time leading batting average record holder.
Yeah, when it comes to batting average, it could be pretty tough to edge that line as the season goes on. It's like you pretty much have to be consistently good, and then some to maintain a batting average like that, and then even go up. So he can't really have any bad days from here on out if he wants to push that record.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 457 is an insane average, and like you said, just being 5 points shy of the record, he's a few good games away, a good streak away from maybe getting it done. But it's always interesting. Batting averages, tending to trend downward as seasons go on. In traditional, in baseball sense, but super mega baseball, anything can happen. Max, he gets 20 hits a game, so if he has a few more 20-hit games, I think our guys are going to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, it is tough to improve your average from 457 at this point in the season, but Max is certainly a guy that can get it done in his final games here. But on the pitching side of things, we're also, No Name is eyeing some records here again. He's got 3 that he's got his sights set on: runs allowed per 9, batting average against, and whip. His batting average against is currently an insane 208 mark, well ahead of the current record of 223 set in season 8, the year of the pitcher, where we had no velo caps on a lot of things. But anyway, No Name has an uphill battle, as he still has yet to take on the likes of Mama June June, Finite Provision, and Fireball Max. in some of the heavy hitters, if you will, of the AAA.
And he definitely has a lot of high quality hitters to go against. But to have stats like this late into the season, and again, once again, this is not like a clear like player advantage. There's a lot of talent already there for No Name. It's just impressive. Let's see if he can keep it up and break some of those old season 8 records.
Yeah, I mean that blows my mind that some of those records are even up for grabs currently in the current season climate. 6 seasons later after the fact, they felt unbreakable at the time to be looking up at the season 8 pitching records because to be a participant at the time, God, I mean that was almost grueling to go through for a lot of us. So
Well,
people
plus
were finishing seasons batting close to 200, and to think that to go up against No Name this season, that's how it feels. That's how it feels every time I go up against No Name. I don't know about you, but
Same here, but I was gonna say, oh, it's even more impressive when you think about the fact that this season we have a lowered batting ego by 3 points and a lowered ego cap. The constraints on velo overall were just a little tighter this season, so for him to sustain and even improve upon his pitching record or his stats from last season is just crazy. But hats off to No Name. I will say though, Dwayne, I got to get my digs in. The guy's been scared for weeks, and he still hasn't played any of the the heavy hitters, like I said. So when he gets some games in, we'll have to take another look on these the record check.
yeah, this might just be a nice one to highlight and revisit later from Wishbone Statcast for maybe the end of the season or next week. So let's see what happens with No Name and those AAA records, and we'll move on now to our final highlight from the stats here. Winning no longer a mystery for Mist Inc. After a monumental 2-24 struggle last season in the AAA, but with a notably strong postseason finish, as usual, I might add. Mystery Man and Mystery Inc. tend to pull through when it counts. Mystery Man and his Medley Kins have gotten off to a much more respectable 10-13 so far this season. However, more impressive than his win total is who he has won against, with splits against 2 of the season's favorites, Mama Junjun and Fireball Max. Mystery Man has accomplished this by improving in every offensive stat, most notably with a 90-point increase to his batting average, quadrupling of his home runs per 9, and more than doubling of his runner conversion rate.
And you mentioned
candidate.
Yeah, you mentioned those offense numbers like that, increasing that, and there's no wonder why he's been able to just pretty much increase by his win total already by 8 wins, and he's not even done with the season, so he can definitely go for an even like higher number, and like I said, get that most improved player award.
Yeah, and it's just great to see that he's quadrupled his home runs per 9, like you said, a 90-point batting average increase. Just for a guy who works on his game as hard and as consistently as Mystery Man, it's definitely nice to see some results panning out for him. As like Wishbone noted, some of the wins against some surprising foe, as he got a couple of big splits a few nights ago.
Yeah, huge dubs for Mystery Man. Huge pat on the back for him. I mean, he's like this 90-point increase in the batting average. That's those type of numbers. They have to come with W's. They have to come with improvement. You know what I mean? He definitely he does the homework. He puts in the time. He's put in the effort. He knows the opponents. He plays the scrims. So he has the book out on everybody too. He's what may look like a friendly scrim. Maybe he's getting his next scouting report. So I'd watch out. Mist is ready to win at all costs. It looks like at this point he's doing a great job. So very much congratulations to him.
Yeah, just want to throw in here, like remember early in the season, like before the season started, he was doing all those preseason reviews of every team. Maybe he's just gathering information on everyone just under our noses.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's doing your homework, and it shows in the win total, it shows in the numbers, as Wishbone dug deeper for us.
Yeah, and just to go off that, all the little extra stuff he did on his own. I mean, like just all the time and energy Mystery Man puts into this league and stuff. Just overall good vibe person and great guy to have around. So we thank you, Mystery Man.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a huge, well-earned highlight this week for Mystery Incorporated. And now I think we're going to slide into some revisitation and once again to just a few of our hot takes. We don't really have to go through each and every one here this evening. Some of the more notable ones that we loved to revisit was nobody hitting more than 75 home runs this season. I think Ox pulled the numbers on that for us earlier.
So numbers check. Ashnod, 20 games with 10 left to play. He's at 62. So he needs 13 home runs in 10 games to get to 75. And then we have the Black Jackals of Lazy, has just 4 games left, but he's actually sitting at 67 home runs. So eyeing that total, but on the cusp. And then Weaver, I believe, is the next closest one. And he is sitting at 59 with 4 games left, so probably not going to hit 16 more home runs in 4 games. But yeah, Ashnod right on the cusp there of that hot take.
I mean, yeah, I think if anybody can do it, it's going to be Ashnod. He always, pulls through with the homers when you're like, oh, all I have to do is not give up 6 home runs to Ashnod this game and he won't break another record type vibe. You know what I mean? And then he hits those, maybe hits a 7th one too while he's at it. So you just always got to be careful when you go up against the Blues. And his next few games are going to be exciting, especially because he's got some big opponents to go up against, as we already highlighted. And then I think follows up into our next one where Mike finishes outside the top 6. That one is more of a highlight of the top 6 in and of itself. I think Mike starting to really push back into it, and he's looked great this season, but will he get back into it? Because it's so tight to get into with Speedy having such a good mid-season here, and Luke having a great season, Weaver having a great season. It's definitely a tight top 5.
Yeah, for a Couch Potato update here, he did actually sweep Speedy, I believe, but he still has Luke yet to play, still has Weaver yet to play, still has Flash yet to play, and still has Mers and Eduardo yet to play. So, decent amount of games left for Kutch to try to sustain that top 5, top 6 ranking.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's like you said, big competition for Mike going through the rest of this season. And as we go down the list, I think we're looking at a few more of these. Just a couple more. It was the AAA preseason number 1 does not finish in the top 4. Another one that speaks to the parity of the league. We're still looking at that one like, will it or will it not happen? Finite's pushing for a top 4 spot.
Yeah. The Scotties have Mama June and the Bulls left to play on Match of the Week. They have No Name and the Base Bandits, and they have Under the Bus Federal League All-Stars. That's his final 6 games left to play, looking to try to stay in that top 4. I think he's right there at 4, so it's going to be tough.
Yeah, definitely one of those things where it could go either way. He could definitely have a strong finish, finish in that top 2 spot, or maybe he slips a little, and just falls just outside, maybe finishing at 5 or 6 for the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be tough, like Ox said, with the schedule he's got. But I think I said it already. I think it speaks so much to the league in and of itself, how tough the top half of the AAA has been this season. It's been awesome. It's been, I think, the most competitive top 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players at that half of the league that we've seen. So to see it shake out like this is just, honestly, as someone who, organizes everything, tries to put it all together, and just loves to see how it all plays out. It feels great as a neutral. It feels great to see it the way that it's played out, and for something like this, hot take to even be possible, it kind of does feel good. So we'll see how it goes going through the rest of the season. And the last one is the least and most unfortunate one, as we did have 2 drop, I think, this week. As we're looking at, unfortunately, the dropping of Astro Death. He had a nice start to his season with his Great Lake Naturals, and we thank him for his time playing in the early season. He just did not have the internet to keep up with everything, so we hope he sticks with us and hangs around. We have not gotten any games in from Cardiac in a while, so we're probably not going to assume at this point that he's going to finish.
Yeah, having 0 people drop, it's just very tough to have that. You kind of just have. First of all, you have to have a lot of people who've already been around for a couple seasons, and then you just have have everyone have just like the right thing going for them. Like I said, all it takes is one person to have their connection go out, or something happens outside of their control and they can't finish the season. So you just need a lot of factors that's just very hard to like go against, like going into each and every season.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, unfortunate to lose a couple players, but as Hummus said, as someone who's been around for 10 seasons plus as well as myself, you've seen plenty of players come and go for plenty of different reasons, many of which have absolutely nothing to do with anything related to playing this game or Discord or anything like that. So yeah, the randomness factor is so large and it is so tough. So tough hot take. And we just wanted to highlight the fact that things do change mid-season. We have to make some alterations. We did so, and we will continue to do so. But everybody's best interest in mind, as always. And good luck to everybody who plays with us and leaves us and comes to us through all spaces of time. We've had a lot of different players come through here, and a lot of different ages that have come to pass. And you know what I mean. It's been a long time, and we appreciate everyone's time that gets put into it. I think we're going to move on now with our plays of the week. A little bit of highlight action for you. We had a nice long show for you. Now we're starting to get into the exciting stuff, I think. We got a dive to start us off from Speed Demon in foul territory. A nice highlight taken by Dark Raider and submitted by him.
Great timing there. Right off the bat, he just instantly runs right into right field, makes that extending dive. Those plays are really tough. Get off and actually make the catch. But he's able to do his sliding dive right there. Just good overall play.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine these kind of plays are the times when your odds of making the catch without a drop in RNG or whatever, they're at their lowest as far as actually holding on to the ball. So for Speedy to come up with this is nice. We've got a couple of plays with some great full extension here to show you guys tonight.
Yeah, nice job there by Speedy to get it done. We're going to look at this next play. This one, not a dive. This one's a hop. Here we got Rise and Fall on Match of the Week. Taking the big jump against Fireball Max. That is a tough play out there in Colonial center field, especially daytime, with the visual issues that many people claim to have. I mean, me personally, definitely feeling it there. And that's a great play. Great timing.
Yeah, you just see that there. He got all that reach, probably like the highest point possible that you could still catch the ball. Just really had to reach up for that one.
Yeah, great play on prime time when it's all eyes on you.
Yeah, it is definitely difficult to go after the ball and like I said, make that, like Akshay said, make that play on prime time. You feel like there's that extra, I don't know, space of time where you can really just mess things up, and the butt holding the controller feels like a foreign object, and all of a sudden it's not going to go right. But you get it done, and it does feel good. We keep on moving up the list. This is play number 3. This is one I believe was submitted on the behalf of me or by myself, and this is a great full extension dive from Chuck Upons in a middle of the game loss by myself versus Speedy.
I actually hit this, I think, but it was a great play and worthy of a top 5 play for sure. You look at the distance, you get some of the dive there. You dive, hit the ground, and then keep on going, and then held on. That's a heck of a play.
Looking at that play right there, could maybe even been a double play had you actually throw into first there. Like you can see here, the base runner already went past home plate. He thought he scored, but that dive there, he's like, oh shoot, gotta turn it back around now.
As a defender, you're not really thinking about which base to throw it in at that point. You just kind of react. But it is a bit noteworthy that Speedy didn't tag up at third there. Just in case, because that cost him a run.
Yeah, for sure. If that game had been closer, perhaps, in that event, maybe that would have made a huge difference. But I was just, excited to get what I paid for in the form of that 5-bar defense, baby. We've been talking about it all season, and that is exactly what you have in mind when you put the investment into a defense like that. So big play, felt good. We're gonna look at an even nicer play, I think, here at number 2. This one was submitted by Tezzy on the behalf of Mama Junjun out there in Shaka, left center field, getting it done.
Yeah, shout out to Tezzy for clipping somebody else's play, and shout out to anybody who clips a play that goes against you. I know it's not the greatest feeling in the world, but Much respect there for him to clip that and post it. And a heck of a play there by Mama June with a slow outfielder.
You know, you top of that some low outfield long. It seemed like the ball almost kind of like blends in with the ground here with just like the way Shaka's like outfield kind of like looks through all those different like tones. So that good job of keeping track of the ball there and making that great dive to prevent what would have been the tying run, or not tying run, but definitely could have been a tying run there.
Then the go-ahead run.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, huge moment there. Huge play from Matma. Like, I think he also has a 5-bar defense. So again, you get what you pay for. 5-bar D gang, 3 5-bar defenses in the top 5, not on purpose this week. So shout out to Rise and Fall at Mama Junjun, and a little pat on the back to myself for that investment. I just wanted to point that out before we move on to play number 1. No 5-bar defenses involved, but great defense all around, except for this part where Luke makes an error to get a runner on first base here in a game against the Melonheads, and then has to do, a little bit of legwork to make up for it.
Yeah, that's just Luke being cringe as usual, but then as you'll see in the next at bat here by Webb, making up for it. What a dive.
Yeah, amazing dive for him. That will throw it to first. We're making time, and he does. Runner first did not have a lot of speed. As a result, the quick double play there, making our top play of the week.
Yeah, huge play from Luke. I mean, he's already winning in the game, but you want to be able to shut the door and keep a shutout, especially after you're playing as well as Luke is this season. And to give up an error there, that's always frustrating. But to have the focus to come through, make a nice play, and get the huge arm, chuck it over there to first base in time, that's got to feel good.
Great
And,
web content per usual too.
Yeah, always great web content per usual. Shout out, highlighted in the chat as well. His clips always have a nice element of hilarity to them. And speaking of elements of hilarity, we're not quite done yet. Normally we do end with our final number 1 play of the week, but we got a little not highlight reel action for you, a little taster for the end of the season when we go through even more bizarre and strange plays. These, as always, in no particular order. This one coming from Mers, it's against Lazy of all people, where when you need everything to go perfect against a player like Lazy, stuff like this happens to you. It doesn't feel that great.
Yeah, you see here, tries to throw it home there, bonk, right off the wall. Gets what could have very well just been how the runners at second and third, just becomes an RBI triple with 2 outs, I believe.
I'm going to have to be a little bit stern on Mers here, guys. Mers is a guy who has about thousands of hours played in this game from Super Mega 2 and 3, and we all know this game can be a little bit funky in the corners with the dimensions. I've seen this happen at other parks, not really in that corner per se, but Mers, I mean, it's kind of extra to take 3 steps out of that corner before you throw it, but he probably should have seen that coming. But then again, like you said, on a guy against Lazy, when you need everything to be perfect, that's a tough break.
Yeah, that's you forget in the moment you're running over there. You just want to get the ball and prevent that runner from scoring so bad. Like, he has a 99 throw loaded up and ready to go right there. That runner's probably cooked, honestly, if that throw gets off. But right off the brick wall, that probably hurt, for the fielder there too. He's probably about 2 feet away from the wall when he threw it. So we'll look on now to the next play. This one, an unfortunate series of events for Wishbone. This one gets through his pitcher and then through his center fielder after it takes a ridiculous hop that no one can explain.
Yeah, there might have been some pebbles in the ground or something. Maybe someone left some rocks in the infield there, just allowed to get a little hop there. But yeah, just one of those weird plays that you don't know why they happen, but they just do.
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen Wishbone is no stranger, man, to the drops and the RNG stuff. But Luke being cringe here, taking advantage of the worst hop in the outfield I've ever seen. He's going to go ahead and bunt the run in, and Wish actually got a chance at forgiveness, with the popped up bunt, but it just holograms right through the pitcher's body, and it's a base hit for Luke.
Yeah, just overall back-to-back bad luck there. As you said, he slid for that ball, but it just goes right through the glove. Might have to check if there's any holes in that.
First two pitches of the game.
Yeah, I just keep laughing because he's just pointing. Mama Junior just pointed out it's the first pitch of the game, and then like we're sitting here highlighting the play, and then the bunt happens. I didn't even realize when we put it in here that the bunt also followed that up. It just gets worse as the whole play goes on. This is an unbelievable piece of it's art, and honestly, I wish Bo was here to see it. He probably wouldn't want to be reliving it right now. So. Let's keep moving on to the worst. I mean, not worst. These are in no particular order, but this one. I mean, there's 3 guys there that could possibly catch this ball. Nobody.
Yeah, that's like a Shaq Tina full moment there. You have 3 fields. You have the third baseman, the shortstop, and the left fielder. They all run, but they're all surrounded like in a Bermuda Triangle sort of thing. And then they all just miss it. And you see right there, center fielder doesn't even get the ball. So that just allows another run to score.
Yeah, both of these last 2 plays give you the double whammy bonus content of the play right after. Just get equal amounts of just funny non-highlight reel stuff. As the Milkmen, they needed some milk on that pop-up, but they really needed some in center field after the Sox. That's got to be at least, a triple, Dwayne?
Yeah, I think it was like maybe a double, maybe a triple. She wasn't very fast. That was the game I was up, I think, 7-2 early because of plays like that. Some issues out in the field for Yeezus, and he ended up not walking me off, but getting the game-winning 3-run shot in the middle of that game and winning 8-7. So that was a crazy one filled with all kinds of shenanigans like this.
Yeah, those are some fun games and fun content for sure.
Yeah, so shout out to everybody who was able to submit some content this week. The highlights were a little bit slim to pick through. The not highlights had plenty for us to pick through. Classic Metalhead. Thanks, Metalhead. But yeah, thank you to everybody who made clips. Thank you to everybody, for remember to submit them. Keep doing that for yourself. Do it for others. Do it when you're watching streams to try and help out content for the league. If you feel so inclined, It's nobody's job by any means, but if you feel inclined, get something submitted, help us out. Well, it always makes the show more exciting. And with that said, I think we had a nice content-filled evening for you, and it was great to be joined by both No Hummus and Ox tonight.
Definitely a lot of fun here tonight. Just being to see all this different stuff that's happened in the past week or so.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Hummus. It was a lot of fun, Dwayne. We got to go over a lot of stuff. Got to bring you some announcements, and stay tuned for more. On the AAA playoff format, like we said. Stay tuned for match of the week coming up here in just a couple of short days with the late roundup this week. And thanks to Dwayne, Wishbone, Flash, as always, for all you guys do.
Yeah, thank you again, both you and Hummus, Ox, for both you guys for being here. It was a great roundup to have you. Lots of fun content, and thank you for that. It is always a pleasure to put everything together. Shout out to everybody who makes it happen. Like Ox said, we have some matches of the week, so that we got to get with our participants for that, and we'll have everything lined up for that over the next day. Tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, so we'll have everything lined up for the match of the week. And look forward to that on Sunday night, and look forward to the end of the season and the playoffs coming up. Make sure you get your games in. If you're having any difficulties or anything like that, let us know. And as you know, if anything changes, we will let you know, so keep your eyes on the Discord. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you for everybody for making this happen, and we will see you next time on the Cross Platform Baseball League channel. Have a safe and pleasant evening, everybody.
Take care.
Later, guys. Thank you.